Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about some other books. The other day I was talking about Peter Finch and his books, and today I'm going to be talking about Chris Stone, also known as CJ Stone, and his books, and I'm in 5 of them. See, there they all are. Well, actually, uh, this one has been republished a few times, so it's actually more than 5. But anyway, I first met Chris back in 1971, I think it was, and I was very much a hippie type then, and I think Chris won't mind if I say he was too. We both had long hair and beards, and we were taking various substances in those days, and we were both into counterculture, the alternative way of living, and the hippie lifestyle, and love and peace, and all this. And anyway, Chris's first book, this one, Fierce Dancing, is actually an exploration into the counterculture, the alternative scene. And it's an interesting book because it's got a chapter about me, and there's a picture of me, you can see there. But and in this chapter, he does mention the stuff which is completely true about me. That I was in Scientology for a while. I was also Robin Williamson, an incredible string band. I was his secretary. I once met Van Morrison via knowing Robin, and various other things. But I think maybe more important than what stuff about me is that there's an interview with Penny Rimbaud from the anarcho punk band Crass, and also an interview with Nick Turner. Nick first came to fame in the band Hawkwind, and Chris went to talk to him. And there's a feature about the Battle of the Beanfield, and many other interesting facts and about the counterculture. That was Fierce Dancing, and that book was on Faber and Faber. It did very well, and on the back of that, Chris got a second book out, which is this one, The Last of the Hippies. And I've got, well, there's quite a lot about me in this one actually. There's lots of pictures, and the book was a quest in which Chris was trying to find out what happened to this guy who was known as Piss Off Pete. Pete today would probably be called a trans woman because he was a cross-dresser, and he actually claimed that, he was a trans woman with a difference, because the people today are not claiming to be like aliens. Pete used to say that he was a fragile ladytron from Sirius. So this was a trans woman with a difference. He was actually diagnosed as schizophrenic, and he ended up in a mental hospital in Cardiff. And he was transferred from there somewhere up north, and we never saw him again. But anyway, Chris was trying to find out what happened to Pete, and he didn't succeed. But along the way, he talked to various people, including like some friends of mine, but the book goes off onto all kinds of tangents, including like, a strange paranormal experience which I used to have in my teens, which was a humming sound which used to wake me up in the night, and which was said to be Humidruz by Jenny Randalls, who's a UFO expert. But it was a very strange experience because my parents and my sister could never hear it. Anyway, there's a bit about that. There's a bit about my failing relationships. There's a bit about my depression and drug use in those days, and lots of stuff about me. But also about how Chris came to know Druids, and King Arthur gets a mention, and when Chris went to India, that's in there, and all of that is in this book, The Last of the Hippies. In this next book, well, actually, it's this one, Housing Benefit Hill. That was the title of Chris's column in The Guardian, because he was a writer for The Guardian for quite a while. He was described as a cult writer. He had a big following. Housing Benefit Hill was loosely about people that were living on council estates, which I was doing because I was on the Ely Council estate for 24 years. Anyway, there's a few stories about me in there, and they went out in The Guardian as well. And then this one, The Empire of Things, is a collection of, it's a collected writings of Chris's writings from various sources. And there's one of the stories in here is about a person was known as V. Van Dam, V. And V was the author of 3 books, basically about astral traveling. And I think today V would be known not only as a trans woman, but as a gender fluid, because V used to claim that he would change from male to female in the same day, and vice versa. And V was also said that he was no longer fully human. He was changing into some kind of alien spirit being. Anyway, Chris got writing to him, and it was somebody that I introduced him to because I used to write to V. But also, you know, I say also because I introduced Chris to the Druids and King Arthur, which brings me to this book, which is co-written with Arthur, The Trials of Arthur. And it was interesting because I told Chris about Arthur and he wanted to find out about him because he thought he'd make like an interesting subject to write about. And it took quite a while, you know, for Chris to actually meet him. And he got very involved with Arthur. He's become a very good friend. He spent a lot of time with him. And they co-wrote this book, The Trials of Arthur, which is in a revised edition. I think there's been three editions of it. Very good, all about Arthur's trials, literally trials and ordeals in what he does as a druid and an eco-warrior and a campaigner. So there's that one. So those are the books of Chris Stone, CJ Stone. You find CJ on Facebook and elsewhere. It's a bit confusing because there's also a DJ called CJ Stone, but you know, I hope you can find him and maybe get one of his books for Christmas. They're all very interesting reading. So I'll leave it there.